guys. So yesterday in my little video for my weight loss challenge, I kind of mentioned about like depression and other things that I'm dealing with, and I thought maybe the best way to explain what I'm dealing with is to do a video on it, because I'm not super sure how to write it so it makes sense, and I'm not real sure if a video will make sense to you, because it's hard to explain, and usually people look at me like I'm completely crazy, that I have legitimately lost my last marbles. And I can understand why people would think that, because sometimes that's how I feel. And I know that if somebody was trying to explain this to me, I would probably think the same thing. So one of the things I work on in therapy is obviously depression and anxiety and PTSD and how to cope with that. But my biggest hurdle right now is something called Depersonalization Derealization Disorder. And it's a lot of words. So, okay, how am I going to explain this? So basically, ever since my AFE, I have felt like, and I've said it to a lot of people, that I feel like this isn't my life. And it's not that, I don't mean that, this isn't how I pictured my life to be, this can't be real, in the sense that some people talk about just their life when they're stressed out. I don't mean it like that. I mean it in the literal sense that this is not my life. I have not felt like a normal person since I came home. And I know I've spoken to a lot of people who've had near-death experiences and have, experienced the feeling of leaving their body and coming back. And I can't tell you that I had that, because I don't remember. What I can tell you is that I feel like I left. And I fully know I sound nuts. I know that, because I feel nuts trying to explain it. But I feel like I left. And I feel like this isn't my life. Like I got dropped into the wrong body. That I got dropped into like the wrong person, the wrong life, the wrong everything. So, like when I look at like a scrapbook, for instance, if I look at a scrapbook and I see the pictures and I see myself in those pictures, but I don't have a memory. I don't have an emotional connection to it. I can't say, oh, look how cute that was. I had so much fun doing that. I can't say that about any of my photos that I've seen. I'm really good at faking it at this point. I think when I first came home, I know I wasn't very good at it, and people would get really angry with me that I would say things that sounded callous. They sounded bitchy. I fully recognize that. Or, I know I've said things to, and I can't remember, of course, but I know I've said things to people just randomly, and I know that I sound like a terrible person, but that's not how I mean it. It's really hard to explain. So part of this disorder is that you feel, part of the diagnosis, I should say, is that you basically feel like an outsider. You're here, but you don't feel like you're here. It's like I'm watching somebody else's life happening around me, and I just happen to be in it. Like we're performing a play, and all of a sudden someone looks at me and it's like, okay, it's your part, Sarah. And I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Another piece of it is having, I think they call it like emotional numbness to the world. So when somebody gets hurt or somebody is really upset about something, 9 times out of 10, I don't care. I can fake it, and I can say, "Oh my God, that's so awful. Like, what can I do?" But inside, a whole bunch of I don't give a damn. So another piece is like my memories don't have any emotions attached to it, so I kind of talked about that. Another piece of this is that I'm emotionally disconnected from people. So I'm trying really hard to be a mom. And it's really difficult because sometimes I feel okay. Like I feel like I am their mom. But then there are other times where I'm like, I'm so frustrated and I feel like in my head I'm saying, I'm not meant to be your mom. I don't know what you want from me. Leave me alone. Like I can't help you. I am not the person you need right now. So I'm saying this in my head, but you can't say that to them because they don't understand all of this. And how do you explain that to a kid? The other piece that applies to me is distortion of time. So I already have, memory issues for one. So when I think back to yesterday, I'm not sure the things that I'm thinking about, I'm not totally sure that those are yesterday memories. They could be 3 weeks ago. And yesterday might be gone. I have no idea. So when somebody asks me, oh, how was your week last week? I don't know. I can't tell you. I literally have no idea. Unless you give me a very specific thing, like, how was Olivia's dance recital? Okay, well that, I'm pretty sure, happened on a weekend. What do I normally do on a weekend? I have cues to think back on, and that kind of helps. I'm really struggling with this. A lot of the problem is that there's not a lot they can do about it. There is no medication to help it, which is kind of all right because I'm on a lot and I really don't want to be. So they can give you medication for like the depression part of it, the anxiety part of it, but that's about it. They can give you some coping strategies, which I'm trying. Some of those are like, try to stay connected to friends and family, like reach out, go have lunch with somebody, call somebody on the phone, reach out via text, try to stay connected with people, because the hope is by maintaining contact, it'll like jog something. So far it hasn't. And I feel like I've lost a lot of friends in the last 2 years. I could tell you I'm trying. I'm trying really hard. It's really hard. I think if you've never been in this situation, you can't fully appreciate it. And it's really horrible to be this depressed all of the time, to be anxious, to not be able to go places because you're afraid you're going to come into like a PTSD trigger. Like right now, pregnant people are a no-go for me. Sometimes little babies are a no-go for me, but other times it's just fine. So I never know how it's going to be. Ramps. I mean, when you think like at the mall, for instance, you know, they have stairs to go to the next level, or sometimes they have ramps for like a wheelchair. I can't walk up or down those for whatever reason. I don't know, it's really strange. So I'm trying. I try really hard, and I know some people don't think that I am, but I am. And it's really hard to be given these labels and then told, you know, you're basically doing everything that you can for this, and you're either going to get better, or you're not. And we don't know where you're going to fall. So it's really awful to be told that this is how your life might be forever. To think that I'm going to feel this disconnected, that this isn't my life forever, is terrifying. So when someone said, like if I say to you, you know, I deal with suicidal ideation, I really struggle with it. And then your response is, but you got children, like think of them. Okay, I don't have a connection. Like I know they're my kids, but do I really? It's horrible. It's horrible. I would not wish this on anybody. So yeah, that's what I'm dealing with. I'm doing lots of research about it. I'm running into the realization that there isn't a whole lot out there. I found a couple of people online who have this, and I've spoken with them just to ask, you know, how is their therapy going? And, you know, they don't have a lot of positive to say. So that's depressing all by itself. So yeah, that's what I'm dealing with. And so on top of being unbelievably depressed, on top of being anxious over stupid things, on top of having PTSD, which is awful, and you know, there's a lot that 90% of people who don't have it, there's so much that you don't know about PTSD that is awful. It is no joke. It's no joke. It's terrible. So that's it. That's what my life is like every day. And I smile, and I get dressed, and I leave the house every day now, which is an improvement. And I just keep moving. I just keep swimming. And I try. And yeah. So every time you think a depressed person isn't putting in the effort that they could or should be, just keep your mouth closed, because you really have no idea unless you're right there in it. Have a good night, guys.